Alright, what's up, guys? This is Brian, John, Captain Wiz Kalina with Midwest Gaming, here with a few players for your next episode of Midwest Mondays. We're going to be talking about the new Forbidden and Limited list, which is in effect today. So today is the first time you get to play in official tournaments without Imperial Order. Bless. My engage is going to resolve all the time. So
don't know about that, to be honest.
Yes, engage.
So
forget about Scythe. Forget about skill drain.
yeah.
Engage.
From the bottom of my heart, I really hope that order going means there's more Sky Striker players.
It's possible. It's possible. So, y'all know what my favorite thing about the list was. It was Imperial Order finally going away, like I wanted it to last time. So I'll never lose games to worse players because of that card, and that feels great. So what about you guys? What's your favorite thing from the new list? Your favorite change or lack of change, I guess. Not all at once. Not all at
my
once.
favorite. No, my favorite's definitely Destrudo.
Really?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
wow, that card's insane.
yeah, that card's crazy. I think
Yeah.
Mare is
I had
just
to
one of the best
kill
cards
me more
I've
than
ever read.
Elfie.
Yeah, Mare is just like one of the best cards I've ever read. So
Oh god.
that card being like playable again just warms my heart.
That's true. We did get like crackhead cards with like Snow and just
Yeah,
it goes
Snow might be
with all
my
the brave
favorite card.
stuff.
Sure, that came off the list. I think Snow is like insane. That card's like ridiculous. It's super sweet that came off the list. It seems like there are like a lot of good shells for it too that are kind of underexplored, but it's only been like a week, right? So
Yep.
Yeah, right now basically every deck I've been making is just you throw in the brave cards, which is like 10 cards with foolish, and then you just put in whatever engine you want. And
yeah,
you can combo off every time.
Yep. Especially if there are level 3s in your deck, because they synergize with the Occlumancer, to be honest. Yeah, that stuff's insane. Really nice. Yeah.
I don't know if PK is the way, but
it seems like from the PPG, PK was the most popular choice for the Brave engine there, but there's a lot of options that I know we've been talking about a little bit. You have the Tenyi stuff, Prank Kids, which kind of still loses to like one interruption on a Prank Kid if you don't get to the Brave engine. So not going to be quite as good as people want it to be, I think. And then Dragons as well can play the Brave stuff.
So mildly hot take. So at the PPG, the Brave PK deck definitely was the most represented deck in Top Cut.
Yeah.
But if you look at the people who piloted it in Top Cut and just look at the room in general, I would say that regardless of what deck the people who played it played, I think that Top Cut would have looked very similar in terms of who was in there. It just happened that it was that deck. So I don't know. I think the result should be taken with a grain of salt in terms of like metagame relevance.
Sure. Even in the deck profiles, though, they were commenting on how their lists weren't necessarily ideal. I know Gabe wanted to play the equip spell and wasn't, and that's going to be pretty standard amongst other things. So, yeah, going forward.
They didn't have a lot of time, right?
Yeah, they had 2 days.
Like the format started and they immediately had to play.
Yeah.
Like
So,
literally,
they
barely got the cards in their hands, and then
so they didn't have time to really deck build. And honestly, like from what I was told, they were also all like scrambling for cards too. So they kind of just threw together whatever they could find in time.
Yeah, like Sebastian was literally like on our group chats, like he was like, "Yo, someone send me a list. Someone send me a list. I'm really not trying to play test right now." And he ended up playing like some garbage. Like he just played he played Tri Brigade and he put in like Warbler and like one of the birds, and he was like, "I'll make Zeus. Worst case."
3 Terror
He was like, "Fuck it, I'm here. I'm gonna play."
Yeah.
Like that was, yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, I think going forward, results will be pretty interesting to see what decks are going to throw the Brave Engine in and see success. It might just be what Brave Engine, Scythe, like pile decks going forward. I think those are going to become pretty popular. Because I know there's a zombie, the Cyber's Eldritch deck, I think is a deck that didn't have to use its normal summon, right? So they could like Brave combo and then Cyber's combo. And maybe they take out the Eldritch cards, so they have like that one card DPE Scythe combo. And if they have the Brave stuff too, that could be an interesting thing.
Yeah. Also, whenever you take Eldritch cards out of a deck, it definitely gets better.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
I don't know. We're gonna see a lot of Eldritch at the beginning of this format, I think, with skill drain to 3. It's
Yeah,
just-
So
You always see that.
maybe this is a hot
Format
take,
starts up.
but I don't think skill drain to 3 is really going to change the format at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that's really hot. I think that deck last format, the Eldritch deck, was like pretty underpowered, and I think it's still underpowered. Like I don't think it's a very strong strategy.
Children's Bing 3 and also GD time not really matter.
Yeah. And it really doesn't help that like the engines that are coming out now are like so good against cards like Skill Drain. Like that whole like Brave Engine searches that equip spell and it just like totally destroys that board. Like you bounce a card, bounce other card, like you negate a card, it's like ridiculous. It's insane. Wow. That deck is not in a good spot right now for sure.
And then when you look at other like playable decks in the format, like Sky Striker, Virtual World, other skill drain mirrors, like there's just so many even Sword Soul, whenever it has like Ashuna, Vishuda, and Vessel, like there's just so many in-engine outs to this card. And like even people are like, well, this floodgate's really good. If this floodgate was going to be the end-all be-all, Eldritch could have just included 2 more copies of a slightly worse floodgate that essentially did the same thing, right? Like,
right.
Gozen and Rivalry just existed and people didn't play them. And I understand skill drain's better, but against most decks, those floods effectively do the same thing as what skill drain did. So if it was going to see success beforehand, they could have just included it. So I don't think the change in 2 more skill drains like makes a bad deck good.
Yeah, I actually think the banning of Imperial Order was like a huge nerf to that deck. I think that the way it won a lot of the time was either Prosperity or Extravagance, a lot of card density into like Imperial Order randomly, and then they just win the game because they have a floodgate, and then Imperial Order cuts so you can't out the floodgate. And now they don't have Imperial Order. So
we have a guest.
let's go.
She wanted to be included. And now she's annoyed at me, so she's leaving.
Oh, peace.
But yeah, all those are fair points. So yeah, I think most people aren't really like looking long term at the format. I do think there's going to be a lot of people trying to play skill drain at the beginning, and then if they're not going to see success, maybe because of all the things that we just talked about, so it'll die off. But at the very worst, I think it is going to be annoying in the beginning of the format because I think there's going to be an upcrease in skill drain decks, but yeah, hopefully.
Well, there's also like the crazy part is like there's a lot of talks about Cosmic Cyclone being like a relevant card that people are going to main deck, not even for skill drain, but for Scythe.
Like Scythe and stuff.
Yeah,
it just makes it deck worse. Yeah,
the fact that that's already possibly going to exist in people's main decks, like just even further deters people from playing like skill drain decks.
True.
Like the main way I see skill drain being playable is if people end up playing it in like non-traditional skill drain decks, like decks that are good without skill drain, like Prank Kid or Virtual World, or decks that have like good engines and can win the game outside of skill drain, but have the ability to like facilitate the card if they decide to play it.
Yeah, that's probably where skill drain's at its like best, right?
True.
I mean, it's just not searchable. Like, there's no point. It's just not searchable.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about Scythe not getting hit? I think that's probably the biggest complaint from the general player base that we've seen is that Scythe is still legal.
Scythe being legal makes it really like hard, like competitively to like reliably win when you're going second, right? But right now, deck building is so fun because of how the Brave engine just splashes into everything. But
Is it?
it's hard for like competitive players to like get an edge. Like just for like you don't win just for being better when Scythe exists.
Yeah.
The same for like Protoss, maybe.
Is that building really fun at this point? I feel like whatever things I try, the optimizer, the end, you just go back to DPE size with Brave.
Yeah, but so that's like the issue, right? It's just like because of Scythe, it's like DPE Scythe, right? It kind of homogenizes things. But like if Scythe didn't exist, for example, I think deck building would. I agree with that point. I think because the Brave engine can splash in everything, I think deck building is like it's like no pun intended. It's an adventure, literally. It's like like you can throw a bunch of cards in. Like it's insane. Like it's like now we can have like these like cookie cut. Like I don't know if you guys saw MBT's like recent video. He made this deck called Kitchen Sink. Great name. And it was. I didn't play the Brave stuff. I hope it did because it should, right? And it was super sweet. But like obviously, when you go second, you have to realize like, okay, how am I going to win the game without using my extra deck? Is like the first question that should come to mind. And half the time, it's like it's like no, you can't, right? Like you have to make these like random deck building concessions, and it's kind of unfun. Like it just kind of sucks. And just like Arjun said, right? Like you can't. It's really just shooting dice, right? Like you really can't reliably win going second. Like you have to open like what, like 2 hand traps, or like really high impact hand traps, or like 2 really high impact defensive cards, or like 3 low impact hand traps, and a play after that. Like yeah, it's not happening. It's a pretty dark time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Just due to one light level 5 fairy, to be honest.
So, although I'm not happy about the fact that it was like missed, I don't know. It does prevent other types of deck building that may not have been healthy. Like the existence of Scythe means that like all the cool 60 card pile decks that I know I've worked on, I know a bunch of other people have worked on, like that may have been like really good, whether it's 60 or 55 or lower, like all these like crazy pile combo Thunder Chaos decks with Snow and Destrudo and Mare and all these cards, like it kind of keeps them in check, not in terms of they get Scythe so they're in check, but it's because of the existence of Scythe. You have to play closer to 40 because you have to see the non-engine cards. You can't just say I'm going to see all engine and beat them.
True.
Yeah, but you have to see like a lot of non-engine, right? Like that's like the issue. It's not just I just see one non-engine card and then it's good. It's like you have to see like a lot, and then you have to play after that.
Maybe I just hate on the PK deck more than I should, but I don't think you need to see nearly that much non-engine.
You know, it's not really like Phantom Knight, right? But it's definitely like how efficiently it's able to make DPE Scythe and then kill you afterwards, right? Yeah.
So like there's outs though to like DPE Scythe Griffin, and like the PK deck that they're playing, like if you look at the list that they posted, their hands don't actually establish Griffin with a token and double Scythe very often. Like
Right.
that's like this thing like, oh well, the PK deck just like there's like this myth in the air that the PK deck is just always going to have Griffin token and then be able to trigger Scythe twice. So like all your non-engine cards don't work, but I really don't think that's the case. Like I was watching a bunch of hands played, and the only times they're able to trigger double Scythe is whenever like Griffin isn't there because they go for other extenders. And the fact that like the list of like Cut, Graph, and Seer, they lost free monsters that were needed beforehand for the double Scythe play. So like I think non-engine cards like droplets and even like obscure ones like Super Poly stops you from getting Scythed. So because they're not actually double Scything, I don't think you need to see multiple non-engine cards. I think you can just see the bombs and it does the same thing.
I hope so. I sure hope so.
What's up, Austin? Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
What's up?
We're talking about how much Scythe is shaping the format, we think, going forward.
Yeah, that card's dumb.
Oh goodness. All right, Austin. What is your favorite and least favorite thing other than Scythe about this Forbidden Limited list?
Desire's the one, because that card's insane. Like, you just get double hand trapped, and then they start their turn with Pot of Greed. So, happy that card got hit. And I guess I'm unhappy about Skill Drain going to 3.
Sure. Yeah, we were talking about a little bit about that earlier. We think it's possible that it's not going to be very meta defining because a lot of decks have inherent in engine outs, and that the trap decks lost Imperial Order, which is kind of a big hit, even though it was at 1. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
Skill Drain doesn't affect the meta very much because I just don't like floodgates in general. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. So. We've talked a little bit about what we think the best deck is going to be, and mostly that's kind of like we're not really sure yet. What are your guys' favorite decks that you think you're going to try this format that you're really excited about, even if they may not be like the best deck of the format?
Anything that I can use E-Telly and the punk cards.
That was going to be my answer. Is just some pile deck with E-Telly and punk cards and needle fiber and DPE. Like,
yeah, even needle fiber, like that needle fiber deck too, because you can go fiber into what is it, the TG synchro to pop the Scythe, summon the Scythe, lock them out of their extra deck, and then synchro into Baron.
That do be sounding insane.
Yeah.
That sound kind of nice. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie. I only have 40 sleeves for my main deck, so whenever I'm playing, it's 40 cards. Otherwise, I'm playing without a side deck. Run it. Right? But it's probably still gonna be like a pile, right? Like it's still gonna be like I really like the adventure, like the synchro decks. So it's probably gonna be something like that, like something with maybe like dangers and snow, maybe like some tennies in there where you can like go like Nessie tenny, like a Shuna, make Dracosack, detach 2 tokens, the Shuna, Yazi, and then pop it with Dracosack. Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Yes. So maybe something like that. I don't know. Dangers, Thunder cards, Tenyi, Punk cards. What other engines are there? Destiny Tenyi already? Brave cards? I don't know.
So like, yeah, that's the deck that I'm like loving, just like pile decks. But the issue I'm hitting is like those decks become harder and harder to build because the more I want to play those decks, the harder it is to keep it close to 40. And the moment you go above 40, you can't see the non-engine cards to not lose to Scythe.
Right. It's
I mean, you just have to keep the ratio, right? Like it should work.
So in theory, yes, like that's the idea behind like the old like 60 card warrior decks. But that's only the case if non-engine cards are all created equal and they all effectively serve the same role.
No,
but
they
I don't
are
think that's
all
the
equal
case.
right now. Actually, like if you see any like, but you have to see like almost 3 most of the time. Like even Ogre is actually good right now. So and like Bell actually hits the Enchantress, right? So a lot of the hand traps actually work right now, but you just need to see like more than like sometimes some formats you only need to see 2, right? But right now, if you see 2, it has to be like Dib and a negate. But if you have to see 3, but there's so many that work.
Yeah. Even anything to stop Scythe plus Ogre does it too, though, right? Because like you can Ogre the Griffin. So if you open Bell Ogre, that like stops Scythe, right? Because
well, that's only if they didn't do double Scythe.
If they didn't do double Scythe.
So you're telling me to play Ogre and Bell?
I think Ogre is going to be in most of my list.
If you have a problem where you're playing too many cards and that's why you're not seeing non-engine, then yes, you can play 20 hand traps.
Yes. I'm copying some homework right now.
See, whenever I'm saying non-engine, I don't know. Maybe it's a wrong take and it's early in the format, but I don't think hand traps are the way to do it. I think the non-hand trap, not really Griffin negatable cards are the way, because just unless you play, like you said, like 20, where it's like an ignorant number, like old Alistair decks, like it's just unreliable to say I'm going to see multiple and be able to like, it's a tall order to do that, but also to say, hey, I'll also be able to play the game through 0 or 1 disruption.
Yeah.
In addition to my non-engine. So I don't know. I think it's just a tall order to ask of decks to be able to do that consistently.
Yeah, and that's why I really like Ogre too, is because like it's a hand trap that you can use in your opening 5, but if it's your 6th card, it takes away the Griffin negate. So it like works as an interruption on their turn and a pseudo board breaker on yours, because then their Griffin negate can't stop you from playing.
Okay, but like when you're talking about like trying to break, like aside from Droplet, what else would work?
Super Poly.
That sounds
Super poly.
okay. What do we see? We're super polying for dark.
Yeah, you just hit the DP. Like, so obviously it does not work anytime they double scythe, but like as we talked about earlier, with the Griffin, they can't actually double scythe nearly as often as the world would like.
I mean, it kind of works into double scythe, right? It's only double scythe and then fog blade, maybe.
Well, yeah. So basically, like they can still. Oh yeah, no, it actually does work into double scythe because it clears the rusty.
Your Stapulia kind of negates scythe.
So I guess it only does it if they have wings and breaksword in graveyard for the scythe. But yeah, Super Poly can clear 1 or double scythe because you just turn player priority.
Super party. Wood. Fusing wood.
No, actually, the way they do it is, they try to pop it before DP comes back, right?
Yeah, DP using the graveyard before standby.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Using breaksword on the where Rusty pointed to pop the size first, and then you won't be able to super poly until Rusty already activated. I mean, even you super poly, you summon something against the size. That's it.
So it'll beat the single scythe every time. It will not be double scythe.
Well, yeah, but you still got size.
What's up?
No. Worst case, we just set super poly and we pass, and we're definitely not dying. It's fine.
Your DPM, well,
let's
assume the first size resolve, right? So you got DPE at the end phase.
Yeah, no, I think we're always dying.
True.
But like, so Super Poly to me is just like really good out to that. Not to double scythe, obviously, but I don't think the deck double scythes nearly as much as.
Sounds like you're still getting sized after Super Poly, not like a change.
Yeah.
Well, not you don't get scythe versus single, or sorry, if they can only single scythe, then Super Poly beats it, right? Because like their single scythe is DPE. Like the way they pop it's DP, so you just draw phase, pop the DPE and the scythe, and you're good. Or not scythe, sorry, the Rusty and the DP with the Super Poly.
I mean, that only works for the first time, right? The second people know you play Super Poly, they're just gonna clear the Rusty at the end phase with DPE.
Yeah, so
Or-
yeah, like once they see
or they
Super
double
Poly,
scythe
you're
you,
not gonna
right?
be able to do it again, but sometimes you don't need to do it again. Like so
True.
Yeah. So Droplet.
yeah. Droplet's gonna be in everybody's deck.
I guess
Droplet's already being everyone's deck for like half year.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
There's also just the hope that they couldn't get to the Brave engine, so then you could just look at cards like Cosmic and stuff. But even then, it's a little iffy.
Can't they like? Doesn't every hand get to the Brave engine?
So every
Yeah.
hand does not
In
get to
PK,
the Brave engine and like actually play. Like in
They can
theory,
get to Brave Engine, but they don't necessarily end with on everything. They might have to link away things for the materials.
yeah. So like every hand gets to the Brave engine because you utilize them because like the Brave engine at worst functions as 2 monsters on field. So it's like, okay, the Brave engine, like you're always going to quote unquote get to it, but actually ending on the Brave engine is like harder sometimes.
Makes sense.
Especially when you look at a deck like PK where there's just a lot of combinations of cards where your cards don't have any effect together. Like between all the traps and like just a bunch of PK monsters that you could draw multiple normal summons. Like there's a lot of combinations where you can't actually end on Griffin plus DPE Scythe or Griffin DP double Scythe.
Yeah, I think that deck is like really, really broken, but I also think it is a pile. Like it's literally like a pile where like 10 of the cards are like blanks sometimes.
Oh yeah, well, and that's why like I think a lot of the better players are constantly talking about like different, whether it's Tenyi or Dragon or just conglomeration of good cards decks. Like those decks, like people are just trying to explore the same win condition, right? Like scything 1 to 2 times, brave cards, non-engine cards, yada yada. but people are trying to explore other routes to get to the same board that may not have as many like PK cards because of the flaws that PK cards have.
Sure.
Well,
That's
then
right.
you just fall into the flaws of other decks, which at the end it doesn't change anything too much.
Some of them, I mean, yeah, definitely. But,
Sounds like Sky Striker with triple Shark Cannon and triple Widow and triple Droplet is gonna be the wave for me.
Yeah, but after that, you normal summoning rain. All you did was just like worthless now.
you know
Yeah,
what the-
see,
you know what
that's the craziest part about Strike for
Yeah.
me is I feel like I'm getting Scythe every turn because I'm not doing anything.
I feel like the Sky Striker deck actually got like worse, even though Imperial Order got banned, right? Because they lost a Fusion Destiny
Yeah, that
and they
hurts.
lost 2 copies of Pot of Desires. And if you weren't playing Pot of Desires before, you should have been. But
Well, not if you're playing the Fusion Destiny package. I
Oh
don't know.
no fear. I stand with it. Play both.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I think in the Sky Striker deck especially, like definitely playing both is worth it because even if you do banish the pieces, you can like area zero the extra like Fusion Destinies you draw or like
Man, you guys
Yeah,
just
you're
have a
also
lot of things
definitely
to
like
do.
drawing Celestial anyway. So what do you
Oh,
worry
yeah.
about?
I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm still a fan of Prosperity in Striker. But
Capping Wiz, no, not like
I don't think
this.
Frost is bad. Like Striker has like a problem getting to a starter, right?
Well, yeah, so like you
Like a
either
rare
draw
rose.
2 or you see the top 6. I haven't done the math, but seeing the top 6 seems really good.
Well, I'm sure consistency wise, yes, it's probably like more consistent to be able to play whenever you see it. But I would rather be less consistently very good than more consistently mediocre.
It doesn't sound like you guys are consistently winning.
Monarch Syndrome.
Okay.
Monarch Syndrome. Classic. Hope I open Eddie Tribute Summon. Let's go. Right.
All right.
I love the concept of if I play, I win. Like that's so much better. I hate playing the game and still losing. That's the worst feeling.
Oh yeah,
do
we do
you
that in
guys
Sky
wanna-
Striker a lot.
Yeah.
You guys want to explain the Punk engine?
Please.
I think it's like 3 cards, right?
It depends
Yeah.
on what engine you're like. It depends on if you want to play the searchable trap or not. Because if you do, you have to play like 4-ish punk cards,
Right.
like minimum 4. I've seen some lists playing more of the 8 and just treat it like E-Telly.
You play Foxy Tune, right?
I don't know their names at all.
Yeah,
The 8 that summons from deck, you play 1 of the Monster Searcher or 2 if you don't play the Trap Searcher. And then if you play the Trap Searcher, you play 1 Trap Searcher or 1 of the Trap.
Are they insane?
Basically, it turns E-Telly into like a god card, right?
Yeah, it turns E-Telly into a 1-card Cherubini.
Okay. I've only seen people talk about it. I haven't tried to play it.
Yeah, me neither. I'm
Yeah.
literally copying homework right now.
So
Like whatever you do at the end, going to Dagda and Anaconda, you know what's happening there.
True.
yeah, it's just 4 monsters is get Scythe with DP.
Literally.
Oh goodness.
The fun part is whenever you don't even have to 4 monsters, you can do it with 3 if you can activate a card effect.
That's true, yeah. Now the fact that even Eldritch is doing it is kind of like
That's how you know. That's how you
hold
literally
on.
know. Like, yeah, this is it. This is what we're in right now. This is the state of the game.
Yeah, that is like one of the few things that I actually enjoy about the Eldritch deck that I think it has like going for it is just like decks that don't auto lose when they get Scythe sounds so cool to me. It just sucks that most of the decks that don't auto lose whenever they get Scythe just don't do anything good.
Yeah, so in my DMs and my mentions, I hear all the time like, "Yo, if you're getting Scythe, however you're getting Scythe, play Floanderies, right?" And I'm like, you realize like the deck that's scything you is also searching like Fiendish Chains, and the deck just like loses to a Fiendish Chain.
Wonder
Like these decks have their own problems, and it's bad. It ain't good. It ain't right.
So like as of right now, the deck I've been working on the most that like deals with the hey, I'm not gonna use my extra deck problem is just like assorted ritual decks. Like I think those decks are nice.
Oh brother.
Hello.
Oh, brother.
Sorted ritual decks.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds real.
We haven't really talked about the Flunder deck a lot yet. That deck got better with the new set, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
It did get a search.
I actually think the deck got worse with all the new cards that came out.
Why do you think the deck got worse?
So like obviously the engine got stronger, but like these brave cards that are in everyone's deck like breaks the entire Flunder board by itself.
Yeah. I was thinking
It's
more
like that.
going second. It got
Oh, the
better.
equip does kind of break it, yeah.
Also, like people, they're like, okay, well, the quick play spell, the best part about it, I mean, it's a slight consistency boost, which is nice. But like the best part about the quick play spell is like, oh, now you can dodge like Veilers and Imperms and stuff, and those cards are like kind of falling out of favor. So like the best part about this card almost isn't relevant anymore. It's like it can beat Fogblade, and it's a consistency card, but it's not like a card to like put the deck over.
Well, I actually think the deck is like way better going second now, right? Like going first, it's like the same stuff. Like that card is like slightly better Book of Moon. But I think going second has more options per turn, which the deck like lacked, right? It only had like 2. And so it was just be bad, like into any board ever, unless they had like out of engine cards. And now they can have like an engine card, or like all engine cards, and still like crack a board in theory. The issue I think is just like when PK, at least like assuming that's like the deck to beat, right? If they have like multiple like fog blades, you can't really like play through all of them. Sometimes. So
I mean, I guess you can argue that the quick play spell plays through 2 Fogblades, right? Because like you dodge the first Fogblade because you remove the card you just summoned, and then map plays through a second Fogblade that you search.
Yeah. So now instead of 2 pushes, you have like 3 like normal summon pushes, and then you have 3, right? You have your normal summon, you have the map, you have quick play spell, and then any out of engine you draw 2. So I actually think that deck like got, and it can play like a lot of hand traps, right? So I think that deck got a lot better going second. I think if I were to play that deck, which I wouldn't, but if I did, I think I would probably blind. It would be like the only deck I'd play blind second. Like I don't care if they psych you. That I mean, first summon baits out Griffin, then you just summon the rest of your hand.
All right.
Right? Right, Avery?
Oh, sorry, I hopped in my car and like it was silent for a second. Repeat the last 15 seconds.
I was just saying, what if instead of going first, you just go second with the Thunder deck?
I mean, the deck can play Shifter, and that's cool because that can just negate people's turns. I don't know. I mean, like it really can, I guess, just play like a bunch of like polarizing bomb cards, and it might not be bad.
I hope so. Actually, I hope not. I don't like that deck at all. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So like I talked down on it, but like I actually like the deck. That was the deck. I can release it now because obviously the events didn't happen. But there was a group of us that if Pasadena in person actually happened, me, Dom, Ed, Benji, and Azad, we're all gonna play the Flunder deck.
Burn down.
Yeah.
And the worst part
we were
about
gonna
that deck is like if you see a mirror
the real
match, you just kill
bird up.
yourself.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The peer pressure a bit, for real.
I think there's a lot of things in that deck, like deck building wise, that a lot of people just do wrong. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that people don't play like 3 of the trap. They're like, oh, well, it's searchable. And it's like, that's literally your way to play through cards is just do it again next turn. Like,
True.
It's literally like saying I'm going to play 1 Aether because it's searchable. It's like, well, no, this is the card that makes you play on your opponent's turn. It's like, nah, I'm good. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, the issue was like they weren't finding a starter often enough, right? Because they have 9 starters. It's like Medolce numbers.
Medolce numbers? Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you have more starters in a hand that for some reason people just didn't play, which was just more copies of Eaglin, essentially. Like, I think there's a lot of niche
Talking about like Jack in the Hand?
Yeah, I would say Jack in the Hand pots, another thing, like people like for some reason had this delusion in the deck that they're like, okay, you have to pick which pot you want to play. Extravagance or Prosperity. You only can play 3 pots, and I'm like, I don't think that's true. I want to see a draw pot every single game. So yeah, I think you should close to max out on pots. Like, I don't think the deck has nearly as big of like a consistency problem as people pretend it does. Just if you build it correctly.
Yeah, you can play Small World, search Dimension Shifter, and banish it off Toucan or the Ostrich, and then Shifter him. Let's go. Small World. Consistency card. All right, I'll see myself at him.
All right. Well, I think that can do it. Does anybody else have any other thoughts about the new format that they'd like to share before we wrap it up? Or?
Not really. It hasn't even started. I want to end already.
Yeah, yo, last format was insane. This format is insane. Yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to be very soon that everybody's just kind of sick of this format. And now we don't even have anything to look forward to because they said the next update is a few months from now.
They didn't give a date.
Yeah, but
They did not give a date. They did not give a date. No.
Oh no.
There's no day and no tournaments.
Yeah. So
there's one good thing though. You get to the deck building part is fun right now. If you're just okay with not winning,
you're okay with not winning.
If you're just literally that's play YouTube combos.
True. All right.
It's so gratifying, just like spending your time building a nice deck. Like, yes, I have this game like figured out. I broke the format, and then it just doesn't. Nothing happens.
And then you play, and then your opponent goes, "Yeah, Scythe effect," and then it's done. It's a wrap.
That's funny. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. It's pretty early for some of you. So thanks for hopping on for this. And we'll see you guys again next week.
Right.
All right. Make good choices.